A soft wind drifted over the old stone courtyard, brushing past the armor racks and the wooden dummies that stood like silent witnesses to forgotten ages. If you listen closely, you can almost hear them, voices of knights who lived, trained, and fought in ways nothing like the movies ever showed you. And tonight, I want to take you by the hand, gently, calmly, and guide you into their world. A world where the clang of steel was not about flashy spins or impossible leaps, but about survival, honor, exhaustion, friendship, and choices that shaped entire lives. Stay with me until the end, because the man you'll meet, Sir Aldrin, has something to tell you, something quiet and human that history usually forgets. Sir Aldrin did not look like the knights from films or paintings. His armor wasn't shining, it was scratched, dented, worn like an old friend that had seen too much. Yet he was gentle, gentler than most people expected a knight to be. And he always said the same thing to the young squires who asked him how knights really fought: if you want to understand a knight's weapon, you must first understand his heart. He said that long before the day everything changed. In those days, the long sword was not swung in wide circles like a dancer on a stage. It was controlled, quiet, precise. A tool. Never the star of a dramatic performance, never a sparkling silver streak. Aldrin would teach his squires to hold it close, to guide it more than swing it. Your strength, he told them, is not in the blade. It is in your calm. His favorite student, a small, anxious boy named Rowan, believed every word. Rowan wasn't brave, not in the loud way bravery is often shown. But he listened. And Aldrin saw something in him, something steady. One late evening, when the sky blushed pink and the training yard fell silent, Rowan asked the question he had been afraid to ask for months. Master Aldrin, why did you become a knight? Aldrin did not answer right away. He sat down on a wooden bench, removed his gauntlets, and stared at his calloused hands. Because I believed I could change things, he finally whispered. Not with power, but with restraint. Those words lingered in the air, shaping Rowan in ways neither of them understood yet. The world outside the castle walls was shifting, distant storms gathering. And soon, Aldrin would have to show Rowan what he truly meant, how knights actually used their weapons, and why their humanity mattered far more than their armor. But that night, Rowan simply nodded, unaware that the next chapter of his life was already unfolding. The morning light cast long golden rays over the practice field, illuminating the dust in the air like tiny drifting stars. Today was different. There was no scheduled training, no drills. Instead, the Lord of the Keep summoned Aldrin and Rowan to travel with him to a neighboring village. Not for war, nothing dramatic, just a dispute between farmers over land boundaries. But disputes in those days could turn tense, even dangerous. And that was exactly why Aldrin was asked to come. As they walked through the forest path, Rowan studied the weapons Aldrin carried. A sword at his side, a dagger at his belt, a poleaxe strapped to the horse. Rowan had always pictured battles from stories, clashing steel, heroic lunges, sweeping strikes. But he noticed something that contradicted all of that: Aldrin's hand never rested on the sword hilt. Instead, it rested softly on the reins, or by his side, relaxed. As if the weapon was the last thing he wanted to use. Master, Rowan finally asked, if knights do not fight like the tales, then how do they decide what to use in battle? Aldrin smiled, the kind of smile that carried a lifetime of experience. A weapon, he said, is chosen for its purpose, not its glory. A sword is for control. A poleaxe is for reach. A dagger is for moments when neither comes quickly enough. But in truth, he looked down at Rowan. The best weapon is often your voice. Rowan blinked, confused but curious. When they arrived at the village, the tension was already rising. Two groups of farmers stood opposite each other, faces red, hands shaking. Voices were raised. The Lord began negotiations, but the anger only worsened. Aldrin dismounted calmly, stepping between the groups, not dramatically, not forcefully. Quietly. And it was stunning how silence followed him. He did not draw his sword. He did not threaten. Instead, he listened. He asked questions. He pointed out small misunderstandings, gently untangling them. Rowan watched in awe. So did the farmers. Not once did Aldrin reach for a weapon, though he carried 3. By evening, the dispute was resolved, and the fields returned to peace. As they rode home, Rowan finally understood. "Master Aldrin, your weapons weren't for fighting today." "No," Aldrin replied softly. "They seldom are. A knight's duty is not to show strength, but to prevent harm. And if the day ever comes when I must raise my weapon, I must do so with the weight of that responsibility." Rowan swallowed hard. "Will I ever be ready for that?" Aldrin placed a hand on his shoulder. "If you keep your heart gentle, you already are." Years later, Rowan would remember that moment when life tested him in ways he never imagined. When he stood in that same courtyard, older, steadier, teaching a new generation of squires. And whenever they asked him how knights actually used their weapons, Rowan's answer was always the same: quiet, warm, honest. Not like the movies. And not for glory. A real knight's weapon is stillness, patience, and the choice not to swing. And that message stayed with those who heard it, long after the echoes of steel faded into the peaceful dusk of history.